My name is Dr. Vaidya. Anil Vaidya. I'm the chair and director of the Visceral program here at the MGM. We're here to describe a unique achievement by our team. The achievement was conducting what's called as a modified multi-visceral transplant for a very rare condition called primary lymphangioma of the intestine. This is rare because the incidence is only about 0.3 per million, and it is rare because it also presents in two stages in life. It could present when the patient is a pediatric patient, or it could be in an adult life. In the adult life, the presentation is mostly because of diarrhea and malabsorption and not putting on weight. And the final straw is when the intestine starts bleeding. And this bleeding is usually life-threatening. And there is not one specific area where there's bleeding that you could go and embolize, or you can go and cauterize. It's a generalized diffuse ooze from the intestinal tract. So when this patient presented at the time when bleeding was ongoing, we had an action plan for him. The first thing was to be able to control the bleeding. And the only way to control the bleeding was to take out as much intestine as possible, so that all the lymphangiomas attached to the intestine that were bleeding, all of them were taken out in the first procedure. That meant he lost his intestine and his ability to eat and get any nutrition from eating. So he had to stop eating, and we placed what's called as artificial nutrition, or TPN, total parenteral nutrition, that was then administered firstly in the hospital but then at home. The TPN allowed him to maintain his nutrition, maintain his strength for a period of 3 to 4 months before he got an offer, and the offer had to be a modified multivisceral offer. That means we had to take the stomach, the pancreas, and the intestine from the donor. These donors are brain dead donors, and the ability for us to take that has also reflected on, because we don't take the liver goes to another recipient. We take only the stomach, pancreas, and the intestine. So it is a difficult, or rather challenging operation to try and put these things in, because we're essentially taking out the blood supply, half of the blood supply to the liver when we take all the intestine and the stomach out, and then we're replacing it and reconstituting that blood supply again to the liver. So technically quite challenging, and it was possible only because we've got a fantastic team around us. We've taken 2-3 years to build this team of different expertise, and the transplant obviously went well. He recovered really well, and here he is sitting in front of us. The key tenets of the key elements that make these things successful. One, as I said, and we've talked about it before, is the team, very strong team. And the team is not only based in the hospital system, the team is also based outside, where the team goes to the patient's home and administers care there, even before the transplant and after the transplant. So we limit the number of hospital days to a very finite number of days. And that helps in the finances of this complex operation also. The second thing was the use of, we use a very special antiseptic solution. The antiseptic solution was something that was formulated in the UK in association with the University of Southampton. And this antiseptic solution keeps our patients safe from any infections from the line. The line is needed for TPN, and this solution, we use the solution as a spray at the entry of that line into the skin, and it keeps the patients away from any infection. I've already mentioned the bioburden in India is quite high, and these lines get infected quite easily. We have had a success with that, and that helps bring the patient safely to the transplant procedure. Even after the transplant procedure, the patient still has lines. We're going to give them fluids and what have you. They've started eating, drinking normally. That line still stays because of the fact that we have to have adaptation of the intestine before they start eating completely and start gaining weight. So that antiseptic solution is number two of pillar of our success. First is the team, the big team that we all have, plus the team outside the hospital. The number two thing is this antiseptic solution. It is called Dobimex. That's available now in India and is very, very affordable. And for that price, you keep patients away from line infection. Each line infection itself, you have to take the line out and put the line back in. That in itself is about 75,000 to a lakh rupees just for that procedure. So if you can avoid that with something that costs 400 or 500 rupees and has about 1 month worth of spray in it, it's a huge advantage for our patients. And the third thing that we think is important to mention here are the team that uses our team uses a specific immunosuppressant that again is brought into India through a compassionate ground program. It is free for him or for any of our patients, and it is a very good immunosuppressant that decreases the amount of rejection in the organs. The trial that we did a long time ago demonstrated that this drug brings down the infection rate, the rejection rate down to 3% from the traditional 50% that was there before we used this drug. So essentially, these three tenets help build a program, build a very successful program, and we can take on challenges like our patient presented to us. So being able to have a support outside the hospital with the team, very expert team. Second, use of a very unique antiseptic solution to keep patients away from infection. And third is to use a very unique immunosuppressant agent that keeps the patient safe away from rejection.